In this video, we're going to talk all about your energetic system at the level of the energy center. And I have my lovely assistant, Sam the Skeleton, with me because we need to peel back all the layers of skin, fascia, and even the nerves to get into the energetic centers that feed this whole system here. Because in medical school and in all of the anatomy and physiology classes that we learn about in our educational system, they talk about the nervous system as being the root of it all, but that's not true. We are fed by energy. And so in this video, let's go through the 7 main energy centers of your body, starting all the way down at your root. So the root energy center sits right here. This is the very first center that comes online when you're in utero. When at the moment of your conception, all of those energies that come into your body that ultimately will become you, your whole musculoskeletal system, your foundation, your bony skeleton, all begin by coming through the first energy center in your body. So this energy center is so powerful. And in fact, it is the main energy center that is online from the age of conception all the way up through about age 5 to 7. There's some variability in here. And so the important thing about this energy center is that from a purely energetic perspective, it takes in energies. It's like a sponge. It governs your outer 5 senses. And that means that everything that you absorb during those first 0 to 7 years of your life, it's going to come in here and become a part of you. You literally become imprinted with energy. So your tribe, your family, your friends, anything that comes into your field, into your direct experience when you're a kid, is going to get absorbed in this energy center. So this is a good thing because it's during this time that we learn language and we learn how to walk and we learn how to be in the world. We learn what love is. Our very first foundational experiences of being cared for and nurtured and loved come in through this energy center. And as you can imagine, we also get imprinted with a lot of wounding during these first 0 to 7 years because we all deserve to feel unconditionally loved, held, and nurtured. And our parents, of course, do the best they can. Our siblings do the best they can. But we're all human and we all have our human shortcomings. And so wounding gets in during this first 5 to 7 years of life in a big way. And it just stays down here. So with the traumas that happen to us during those years, energy comes in and it just kind of gets packaged, stored down here, and at some point in our lives, it can and usually does call us back. And this can be in the form of physical pain or emotional malalignment. We can feel really not supported in our lives. This is your foundation, right? So your foundation can feel pretty weak in your life. You can feel like a little bit of an outsider in your tribe, in your family system, even in your friendship groups. You can have pain in your hips, in your lower back, in your lower rectum, pelvis, anywhere in your legs, your knees, your hips. It's all governed by this first energy center. So when we begin to start healing these things, the very first thing when we get back into our body is to heal at the root level, because it's at this root level that each one of the successive energy centers that we're about to go into are forming. Okay, so let's go up to the second center. So the second center is located behind your belly button. This is your 4th lumbar vertebra right here. And just behind that 4th lumbar vertebra, behind the belly button by about 2 inches behind it, 2 inches below it, we have the second energy center. So you can see that that correlates to about the top of the hips right here. And this energy center is a little bit different. This is an energetic womb, and it's a womb of all creation. So whether you're male or you're female, this energy center is the birthing place of all of these beautiful ideas and creative thoughts that you have in your life that are just, being birthed into creation. So this center, and obviously it can create life if you're a female. So this center has a lot of energy that runs through it, and it all comes up. So the important thing about these energy centers is that they are being fed by your Mother Earth. And so this first center is so important, so vital for bringing energies up into your body. And so your root, your foundation in life is really going to be supportive of your creative energy. So this energy center at the root level, when it's open, it's going to support your sense of self. This is really where you get a sense of yourself separate from the first energy center consciousness, which is your tribe. And so here, this center is going to give you your earliest experiences of your own source of pleasures in life. This center governs sensuality and sexuality. Obviously, it governs creativity, your reproductive organs when we get into the physical body. And this also is going to govern your ability to feel a lower level of love. So your attachment to other people, your first relationships oftentimes happens as you are in this second energy center consciousness, which starts to come online at around age 7 and takes you up about 7 years to age 14. Now, there's a lot of fluidity. This is just a construct, and if it's helpful for you to think about it in this way, then it can help just to get a better framework. It's a loose construct if it works for you. I kind of go back and forth whether or not to bring ages into this construct, because we really don't know. I feel that we can map out the energetic system fairly well, but there's always room for variability. So this isn't by no means a certain model. It's a fluid model. So take it or leave it. So when we get up into the third energy center, it's again, the energies come up. They're fed from the earth. So when we have a nice firm foundation, our first center is nice and open and flowing. It then feeds up into the second center to give us that sense of self, that ability to be in healthy relationship, healthy partnership, experience true pleasures in our lives, not just sexual pleasures, but just to experience pleasure in our lives, the experience of just being in our lives, enjoying the moments that we have, moment to moment, is governed by this center. And then when this center is nice and open and flowing and we feel really creative and inspired in our lives, we come to the third energy center. And this is called the xiphoid process. And this xiphoid process is the very lower tip of your sternum. And so right at about the point where the thoracic spine, which is the spine that holds your rib case in place, and your lumbar spine, which is the spine that we just kind of went through, and it's the lower back all the way up to the mid back, right at about the thoracolumbar junction, if you know your anatomy, you'll find this third energy center. And this governs digestion and also governs your human will, right? So in self-confidence and your ability to step forward in your life with sovereignty and with independence. I am. This is the center of I am. And so when we get, from the second energy center, you can see that if there's wounding in this center, if there's closure of the first energy center, and so the energy then doesn't open up the second energy center, that will kind of spill over into wounding that can happen in this third energy center. And this center, if it's weak, if it's closed, if it doesn't have enough energy coming up through the lower two centers and through the earth, will lead us to have lowered self-confidence, lowered self-esteem, lowered sense of I am. This is where a lot of us can get into a codependent kind of relationship, because we feel like I don't really know who I am as an individual with really, with conviction and strength and confidence and poise and the ability to go out into the world and manifest. If those things are blunted because we don't have enough energy, or we have some wounding that got in, then we are going to maybe get into relationships with other people that can help to give us, from the outside in, a bigger sense of ourselves. So you can see how codependency might work into the consciousness of this third energy center, which, if we're following that age timeline, is often the most populated, it's in formation during those third 7 years of our lives, so age 14 to 21 roughly. So that's high school, that's college if you've been to college, and that's really stepping out into the world on your own 2 feet. So by the time we get into our 20s, hopefully we've gotten a sense of who we are and what we want to be in the world and what we want to do in the world and how we can hold ourselves. So these lower 3 energy centers are really the foundation of our development in our lives. And they're also, when they're wounded, Joe Dispenza calls these the energy consumers, which means that they take energy from our field. We have a harder time engaging in the world in a really opened way. We feel oftentimes a little bit more shut down, a little bit more rigid, inflexible, controlling, needy, insecure, without a really solid foundation in the earth. And so there's so many more characteristics that can come through when these centers are wounded. But we're going to transition now to the fourth energy center. I've got a little heart right here. And so the heart center, I love the heart center so much because it is the most powerful energetic center in your whole body. And so as you start to heal, and that's why I'm telling you about all these centers in your body, because as you start to heal those lower three centers, what you're doing is you're starting to clear out any obstruction of flow that's going to come up through you. This pole right here is going to represent your central energetic channel that is going to bring energy up through the root and up through these lower three centers. And if there's an openness, if flow can get through the lower three centers, it's then going to flood the heart. So this heart center is really where higher level love starts to come in. And what is higher level love? It's this incredible love of self, which is self-confidence. Self-confidence comes through the third center that knows yourself in a healthy way where you can be in partnership, you can be in friendship as you are without having to then enmesh with other people to take in love from the outside world. You now have a sense of yourself being fed by your divine Mother Earth. Her energies will flow up through you, unobstructed through those lower three centers. And then you can get, when you have this incredible sense of yourself as being anchored and rooted and empowered, this is the center of empowerment, the third center, when you can then bring all that energy up into the fourth energy center, you'll start to open yourself back up to unconditional love. Unconditional love is really what I feel is the journey that we're all on here. We don't receive unconditional love from other humans as perfect as we think that they are. Our partners are human also, and they have their own wounding. And so we have an inconsistent kind of exchange when receiving and giving love with other humans on this planet. But the source of unconditional love and support and nurturing is Earth, your Mother Earth. And so as you clear out these lower centers and the energy can flow up and start to come right up into this fourth energy center, you will have an experience, a feeling of love that is consistent, limitless, and unconditional. So that is really the goal here for all of us. And this is really the portal of intuition, the heart being the most powerful energetic center in your whole body. It informs the brain. And so there's one energy center that we have to move through in order to start to bring all this source, this energy up from the heart to the sixth energy center, which is in the middle of the brain. But I feel, and it's been well documented, that intuition actually starts in the heart, that we can feel other people, we can feel our way through life when our hearts are open and they're flowing with openness, with love. It helps us to be guided in our lives when we have the sense of ourselves in this heart-open way. And so as we come up to the throat center, this is the center of of communication. And then this center here will help us to speak out other sources of will. So this is really where the will of the divine starts to come in. And the reason for that is we birth new ideas and concepts down in this second energy center, as we talked about before, and then we pair that with empowerment, the ability to actually put that out into the world. When we get into the heart, now we start to feel something else coming in, a higher expression of love coming in, a divine expression of love coming in. And while we get to the fifth energy center, now we can voice our ideas as paired with the ideas of something else. We're inspired here. And so this is really where soul will, or your soul level intuition and expression starts to come through. So a lot of channelers, for example, people who can tune into a higher expression of languaging, can really you can really see how this fifth energy center will be opened in these people. And so this center will help you to align with your soul level truth. So we have our humanness, which is, when we're human on this planet, sometimes we forget who we are. We come here, we get lots of trauma, we have so much wounding, we sometimes dissociate, we get reactive, we live according to our subconscious programs. We talk a lot about this in Self-Healing Immersion, and Claire shares a lot about how we can start to unpack these old programs, these old stories that are running in our subconscious states that really are governed by these lower three centers. Now we're getting up into these centers of higher consciousness. So when we're up in the upper centers, we can speak from a conscious, connected, aligned, intuitive place, and we speak our ideas into existence onto this physical plane. And then finally, when we get back up into the brain here, now we have all this energy running through into the middle of the brain, and what's in there is this beautiful structure called the pineal gland. The pineal gland is the mystical gland in your mind, and it has photonic receptors that can connect with light frequencies beyond the visible spectrum. And what's so cool about this is this basically means that inside of your brain, when this center is opened, when this center is being fed by those energies coming up through your body from the earth, you will be able to connect back into vision beyond the physical, okay? And so now you can start to develop. And I do feel that we all have some capacity. There's certainly variability for the clairs, the clairaudience, the clair visual senses, the clairsentience, the claircognizance. And these are the psychic abilities that a lot of kids have when they come in, that they sometimes step away from, or for one reason or another, they shut down. So as we start to do our healing work, and now we have all these energies moving back up into the brain, we can repopulate those parts of us that just went dormant. They're not gone, they're not asleep, they wake back up again. So this also governs your higher level thinking within the sixth energy center. It's right in the middle. It's about 2 inches or so behind your eyes. And so this also can really start to help you to expand beyond the physical planes. This is the center, when it's opened and healthy, that can help you with quantum manifestation. You can literally think, when you have an aligned body, a body that is flowing with energy moving up through it in a really coherent and abundant way, you actually can think your ideas into manifestation, into creation. That's called quantum manifestation. And that's where you can literally magnetically attract your ideas to you when you think them through your body. So that's a really incredible way for you to it's a goal, I should say, for all of us, that as we heal, we align our whole electromagnetic system internally to match our creative ideas. And when we clear out our body energy center by energy center, we recover our ability to actually manifest in the quantum field that's around the body, because then our internal system actually energetically matches that just outside the body. And so finally, the last energy center, which you can't see, let's go up there for a second, is right above this little peg right here at the top of his head, about 2 or 3 inches, is the seventh energy center. And the seventh energy center is the one that connects you back into source consciousness. So that's the concept of us being from one unified source of love. And that central channel then connects all the way up. This is your little antenna, and it brings all that incredible source consciousness down through the central channel that flows back down. So when all the energy centers are open, they're aligned and they're flowing, you have energy moving in both directions, up to source and all the way back down through your whole body, all the way down through the central channel that connects you back down to earth rather, and then back up again. So you're constantly flowing and clearing yourself out and charging your poles. You have a positive pole and a negative pole in your body, and it creates this incredible flow of energy in both directions, when your body is open, when all the energy centers are connected. And so that's the goal here, is to have a sense of each energy center in your body. Each one has its own unique characteristics, but the real intention is that they run together, that they flow together. And when they flow together, it's almost, you can imagine it like a prism that is no longer refracting light. So in a prism, when light shines through a prism, it reflects light into making all the different colors of the rainbow. So each one of these energy centers has its own frequencies. And when they're separate, when they're scattered, when they're refracted away from one another, they have different personalities, and they're not necessarily working together. So when you come back into your body and you start moving from the ground level up, as we do in self-healing immersion, when you start to open up each center from the ground level up, and you do this work and you methodically move into each one of these energy centers, you clear them out, now all of a sudden it's like taking that prism of light and removing the thing that refracts it, and it's just pure crystal white light. And that's what you're made of. You're made of all the colors that work together as one. And when you're synchronized and you're whole and your body is flowing again, you are open, you are expanded, you are connected, you are a manifester, you are made of limitless love, and you feel it. So that is why we do this work. And that is your body from the energetic level.